The auction hall on Alien 3 stank of rot, oil, and desperation. Not metaphorically, literally. Unwashed, bodies packed shoulder to shoulder under sagging metal rafters, breathing recycled air thick with lubricant fumes and old blood. Flickering blue lights hummed overhead, turning every shadow sharp and ugly. Mercenaries, traders, scavengers, people who bought lives the way others bought tools. In the center pit, a reinforced cage sat on a raised platform. Inside it, curled tight against the bars, was the girl. Not human, not animal, something engineered in between. Her skin was ocean blue, bruised purple in places, dirt ground into the pores. A control collar hugged her neck, glowing red like an exposed nerve. She'd folded herself small, knees pulled to her chest, eyes tracking movement with the cold precision of something that had learned fear too early and violence too often. The auctioneer stepped forward, knuckles like stone, voice crackling through a dying amplifier. Feral hybrid. 3 prior owners, all dead. He wrapped the cage, making her flinch. Untamed. Dangerous. You break it, you own it. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Someone threw a bone. The girl moved. Too fast. She snatched it mid-bounce, teeth flashing as she hissed, a sound that wasn't meant for human throats. The laughter died instantly. Silence rushed in. No bids? The auctioneer snapped. Then a hand rose at the back. One motion. Calm. Deliberate. The man wasn't armored. No visible weapons. Just a grease-stained jacket, worn boots, and eyes that didn't flinch when the girl locked onto him. Ryan Talon. Sold, the auctioneer said quickly, relieved. When the cage opened, the guards were shaking. Shock batons raised. One mistake. The girl exploded forward. In seconds, one guard was unconscious, the other screaming, the baton crackling in her grip. Blood spattered the floor. Panic surged. Ryan didn't move. Didn't shout. Didn't reach for a weapon. You don't have to fight anymore, he said quietly. The words cut through the chaos. The girl froze. For one suspended heartbeat, the entire hall waited. Then she dropped the baton. It hit the floor with a final spark. She stepped out of the cage and followed him. No chains, no commands, and the most dangerous creature in the room chose to walk beside him. They left the auction hall in silence. The station corridors of Lin 3 parted ahead, of them like prey sensing a predator. Conversations died, bodies pressed against walls. Cameras tracked the blue-skinned girl relentlessly. Data flags blooming unseen. She walked barefoot. Silent. Always 3 steps behind Ryan. People whispered. Hybrid. Uncollared. Dead man walking. A dock worker grabbed her shoulder. She spun. Claws forming, weight shifting to kill. Ryan lifted a hand. Not worth it. She stopped mid-strike. The dock worker stumbled back, pale, realizing he'd touched something lethal and survived by accident. Ryan never looked back to check if she followed. He didn't need to. At the docking bay, his ship waited, old, patched, forgettable. A freighter no one would look twice at. He opened the ramp and stepped aside. The girl hesitated, calculated, then boarded. Inside smelled like oil and recycled. Air utilitarian, honest, Ryan. Removed the collar with a portable interface, the red ring fading from her neck. He didn't comment on the raw burn it left behind. You should eat, he said. He placed food on the table, stepped away. She devoured it like she expected it to vanish if she slowed. That night, Ryan placed his ship's master access card on the floor beside him before sleeping. Freedom, engines, escape. He turned his back to her. She watched the card all night. She didn't take it. She could have escaped. Instead, she stayed and watched him sleep. Hyperspace rattled the freighter like it wanted to shake itself apart. Days passed. She followed Ryan everywhere, silent, observant, learning. When gravity failed and he slipped from a platform, she caught him mid-fall, too fast, too precise. When cargo collapsed, she yanked him clear without hesitation. He said thanks. She said nothing. Something shifted anyway. She took the shower after him. Scars revealed under weak light. Brandings. Implants, ownership etched into flesh. Ryan didn't stare. Didn't ask. Left clean clothes outside the door. That night, she slept on the mat. Not the corner. The proximity alarm screamed. Boarders. Mercenaries. High-grade gear. Retrieval specialists. Their leader smiled when he saw her. Property, he said. Failsafe still active. You resist, she explodes. Ryan stepped in front of her. Take me instead. The girl spoke for the first time. No, she attacked. The cabin became chaos. Shields flashing, disruptors firing, bodies falling. Ryan fought hard, smart, desperate. The leader triggered the implant. Red light pulsed beneath her skin. Countdown. Ryan cut her open without hesitation. Sparks, blood, screams. 1 second left. He ripped the device free and threw it. The explosion rocked the ship. Silence followed. She was alive. Later in the wreckage, she met his eyes, really met them. Trust, fragile, terrifying, unavoidable. The implant is gone. The hunters aren't. And now the galaxy knows she's free. The distress beacon finished broadcasting 3 minutes after the explosion. That was all it took. Ryan knew the math. Response time in this sector averaged 12 minutes for corporate patrols, 6 for bounty hunters, and seconds for opportunists already listening. He sealed the hull breach while the ship limped through sublight. Warning lights screamed. Power dipped. Atmosphere bled slowly through fractured seams. The girl, no, the woman now, free and furious, stood over the dead mercenaries. Her hands shook. Not from fear, from restraint. They will return, she said. Her voice was rough, unused, like a blade drawn for the first time. Stronger. I know, Ryan replied, dragging a body toward the airlock. That's why we don't stop. She watched him space the corpses without ceremony. No triumph, no hesitation. Just survival, a console chirped. New signal, encrypted, military grade. Ryan's stomach tightened. The screen resolved into a rotating emblem, 3 interlocked rings over a burning star. The directorate. The woman's posture changed instantly. Shoulders squared. Breath slowed. You know them, Ryan said. They made me, she answered. The transmission burst through the speakers. Unregistered human vessel. You are harboring directorate biological property. Power down immediately. Ryan killed the channel. Silence fell heavy. You don't sound surprised, he said. She bared her teeth. Not a smile. I was never meant to escape alive. The ship shuddered as long-range scanners swept them. Target locks forming. Options collapsing. Ryan rerouted power to engines. Overclocked. Dangerous. Can you fight? He asked. She met his eyes. I was designed for war. The first shot grazed their shields. The hunters weren't freelancers. They were her creators, and they wanted their weapon back. The directorate corvette dropped out of warp ahead of them like a wall. Sleek, white, perfect. Ryan laughed bitterly. Of course. They fired again. Shields screamed. Structural alarms cascaded. Boarding incoming, Ryan said. She crouched instinctively, muscles coiling, eyes glowing faintly in the dark. The ship lights dimmed as power bled into engines. How many? She asked. Too many. The docking clamps hit like thunder. Ryan opened a weapons locker, empty except for a battered kinetic rifle and a sidearm with 3 rounds left. He handed her the rifle. She took it, confused. This is primitive. It kills, he said. That's enough. The breach charge detonated. White-armored soldiers poured in, disciplined, synchronized, confident. They didn't expect her. She moved like a broken law of physics, ricocheting, tearing. The rifle barked in brutal rhythm. Each shot a lesson in human stubbornness backing engineered perfection. Ryan fought beside her. Not better, not stronger. Just refusing to die. A soldier pinned him. Blade rising. She took the hit meant for him. The blade punched through her side. She didn't slow. She killed the soldier with his own arm. When it was over, the corridor was red and smoking. Ryan pressed a hand to her wound. Stay with me. She stared at him, breathing ragged. Why, do you fight? He didn't hesitate. Because if I don't, people like you don't get a chance. The corvette's reactor spiked. Self-destruct. They ran. Barely escaped as the ship tore itself apart in a bloom of white fire. Floating in the aftermath, she laughed. A real laugh. She was built to destroy. He taught her why. They hid in the shadow of a dead moon. Ryan patched her up with shaking hands. The wound should have killed her. It didn't. Regeneration, she muttered. Another gift. He finished sealing the bandage. Sat back, exhausted. What do they call you? He asked. She thought for a long moment. I was designation K7, she said. Asset failure? Ryan shook his head. That's not a name. Silence stretched. I choose, she said slowly. I choose Kale. The word settled between them, solid, real. The ship's sensors pinged again. Not directorate. Worse, multiple signals, independent fleets, bounty tags lighting up the void. Her face hardened. They will never stop, she said. Ryan looked at the growing constellation of threats and smiled. Good, he said. I was getting bored running. He plotted a course not away, toward human space. Kale's eyes widened. You would bring me there? They will burn worlds to take me. Ryan met her gaze without flinching. Then they'll learn something about humans. The engines roared. They aren't running anymore. They're heading somewhere that turns wars. Personal. Human space didn't welcome them with flags or fleets. It welcomed them with silence. The border buoy registered Ryan's freighter, flagged the damage, flagged Kale, and immediately went dark. No warning, no hails, just a quiet system-wide shutdown that made Ryan's skin crawl. That's not normal, he muttered. Kale stood behind him, eyes unfocused, listening to something he couldn't hear. They're afraid. Of you? Of what follows me. The first human patrol ship arrived 10 minutes later. Old Navy markings. Retrofit cannons. Nervous trigger discipline. Weapons locked before they even hailed. Unidentified vessel, the captain said. Power down and prepare for inspection. Ryan complied halfway. Enough to look cooperative, not enough to die. When the boarding team saw Kale, everything changed. Fear isn't loud. It's professional, efficient. Orders whispered. Weapons raised. Safety's off. She's directorate, someone said. They'll glass this sector to get her. Ryan stepped forward again. She's not property, he said. She's a refugee. A pause. Then a shot rang out. Not aimed at Kale. At Ryan. The round tore through his shoulder, spinning him into the bulkhead. Chaos erupted. Kale screamed, a sound that wasn't human at all, and the deck buckled under her as she moved. She didn't kill them. She disarmed them. Every weapon crushed. Every soldier pinned. Human soldiers stared up at her, terrified. I won't be your monster, she said. Blood soaked Ryan's jacket as he laughed weakly. See, she's learning. Alarms wailed. New contacts. Hundreds. Directorate fleets crossing into human territory. Humanity just became the battlefield. And they weren't ready for what was coming. Emergency councils don't look heroic. They look like fear wrapped in suits. Ryan watched from a medbay screen as admirals argued, diplomats shouted, and analysts projected casualty numbers that climbed too fast to follow. Directorate fleets advanced methodically, burning border outposts to send a message. Return the asset, or else. Kale stood alone in the room, surrounded by glass and guns. I will go, she said quietly. This ends if I surrender. Ryan ripped the IV from his arm. No. They will destroy your worlds. Ryan met her eyes. Then we stop them here. A general laughed bitterly. With what? They outgun us 3-1. Ryan leaned forward. You're thinking like targets. Start thinking like humans. Plans changed. Civilian freighters became missile platforms. Mining rigs turned into kinetic traps. Old ships with newer ideas. Kale trained human strike teams. Showed them directorate doctrine. Weaknesses, blind spots. Humans adapted. Fast. The first battle at Helios Gate shocked everyone. Human ships didn't hold formation. They swarmed. Sacrificed shields for angles. Burned engines to ram. Used debris as weapons. Directorate ships died confused. Clean lines shattered by chaos they couldn't predict. Kale watched it unfold, stunned. You shouldn't win like this, she whispered. Ryan grinned through pain. We never do. But victory had a cost. A massive signature appeared behind the directorate lines. Something big. Something ancient. The directorate didn't send their army. They sent their answer. The war form eclipsed the stars. Living metal. Gravity folded around it. Weapons that hummed like choirs. It didn't broadcast commands. It broadcast recognition. Kale collapsed to her knees, screaming as memories flooded back. Labs. Screams, failure, success, perfection. That's me, she gasped. What I was meant to become. The war form moved toward Earth. Human weapons barely scratched it. Panic surged across every channel. Ryan knelt beside her. Look at me. She shook violently. I can't stop it. Yes, you can, he said. You're not their design anymore. She stood, boarded a strike ship alone, flew straight at the war form as human fleets burned behind her. She breached it. Inside was a core, copied from her genetic blueprint. A mirror. The war form spoke in her voice. You are incomplete. Kale smiled sadly. So am I. She overloaded the core manually. No escape. Ryan screamed her name as the warform imploded, taking half the directorate fleet with it. Silence followed. Human space survived. Barely. But Kale's ship didn't emerge. The war is over. Humanity won. But she's gone. Or so they think. Victory tasted like ash. Human space was still standing, but barely. Border systems burned. Fleets limped home with holes torn through. Hulls and people missing from rosters that would never refill. Memorial lights replaced navigation beacons. Ryan stood on the observation deck above Earth, arm in a sling, eyes hollow. Kale was dead. That's what the report said. That's what the footage showed. Her ship swallowed by white fire as the warform collapsed into itself. Heroic, final, clean. Ryan hated how clean it looked. Casualties are stabilizing, an admiral said quietly behind him. You did what you could. Ryan didn't turn. She didn't die for what she could. She died because we let them build monsters. The admiral hesitated. She saved billions. She shouldn't have had to. Humanity celebrated anyway. That's what civilizations do when they survive extinction. They rewrite terror into triumph. Statues were proposed. Speeches drafted. Kale was labeled the human shield, the last weapon, the alien who chose us. Ryan refused every interview. 3 weeks later, deep space sensors detected something impossible, a power spike. Not directorate, not human. A pulse, faint, distorted, familiar. Ryan froze as the data scrolled. That signature, he whispered. The analyst frowned. It's fragmented. Like something rebuilding itself. Ryan smiled for the first time since the war ended. The galaxy thought the weapon was destroyed. But weapons don't choose to come back. Kale woke up screaming. Not from pain. From silence. She lay embedded in black crystal. Her body half reconstructed. Nerves lit with static. The warform hadn't killed her. It had copied her again. Tried to overwrite her, failed, and burned itself out instead. She crawled free from the wreckage of a forgotten moon. Broken, scarred. Her abilities were diminished. Regeneration slower. Strength uneven. The perfection they'd engineered into her was gone. For the first time, she was truly imperfect. She laughed. Then cried. Then laughed again. She stole a shuttle, primitive, human-made. The moment it crossed into human sensor range, alarms screamed. Fighters scrambled. Ryan was already moving. He stood on the landing pad as the shuttle descended. Heart hammering, afraid of hope. The ramp lowered. Kale stepped out. Thinner, weaker, alive. Ryan didn't say anything. He just pulled her into a hug so hard it hurt them both. I failed, she whispered.
No, he said into her hair.
You chose. The human command staff watched in stunned silence as the galaxy's most dangerous being leaned into a human. Like she belonged there. Because she did. But somewhere far beyond human charts, something ancient shifted. Watching. Learning. She survived the war. Now the universe has noticed why. The directorate collapsed within a year. Not from fleets. From fear. Their myth of control died the moment they're perfect. Weapon chose loyalty over obedience. Client species revolted. Assets defected. Secrets leaked. The empire rotted from the inside out. Humanity didn't conquer. They outlived. Kale never became a symbol again. No statues, no titles. She trained quietly with human special forces, not as a weapon, but as a partner. Learning restraint. Learning choice. Ryan returned to the fringe. Same ship, same scars. Different future. One night, staring into unclaimed space, Kale asked him, "What are humans known for now?" Ryan thought for a moment. "Breaking rules," he said. "Surviving impossible odds. And turning monsters into people." She smiled. Beyond the edge of mapped space, sensors flickered again. Not hostile. Curious. First contact protocols activated. Kale stood beside Ryan as the unknown approached. "Do we run?" she asked. Ryan grinned. No. They powered up engines not to flee but to meet it. Because humanity wasn't hiding anymore. They were stepping forward. Scarred, loud, alive. And the universe would have to deal with that. The war was only the beginning. Humanity has been unchained. And something out there just realized it made a mistake.